You see it in the headlines all the time, right? Big companies buying other companies. But have you ever stopped to think about the high-stakes strategy behind it all? It's about so much more than just the price tag. It's about moves that can reshape entire industries. So today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the world of mergers and acquisitions. To really get this, let's start with a deal that pretty much changed the game for social media. You have to remember, back in 2012, Facebook made this massive move. They bought a small but super popular photo sharing app called Instagram. And at the time, believe me, it looked like a huge gamble. So you got to ask, why? Why did they do it? And how on earth did that gamble pay off so spectacularly that it's now considered one of the most successful acquisitions in tech history? That's the big question we're going to tackle today. Okay, so before we can really unpack the why behind that deal, we've got to get on the same page about the what. Let's break down some of that corporate jargon and figure out what M&A actually is. So M&A, that stands for mergers and acquisitions. At its core, it's a strategic playbook. It's how companies grow, how they branch out, and how they get a stronger foothold in their market. They do it by either joining forces with another company or just straight up buying them. Now, you hear people throw around the words merger and acquisition like they're the same thing, but they're not. They're actually two totally different roads that lead to the same destination, growth. So what's the real difference here? Okay, the easiest way to think about it is this. A merger, that's like a marriage. You have two companies coming together to create a brand new single company. They share everything. An acquisition, though, that's a buyout. One company just buys the other one, taking over everything, their assets, their customers, their tech, the whole shebang. Okay, so now we know what M&A is, but that just leads to the even bigger question, why? I mean, these deals are unbelievably complicated, not to mention expensive. So what makes a company decide to take that massive leap? Well, there are a few huge motivators. For one, a company might want to gobble up more market share, grab a bigger slice of the pie. Or they might be chasing what's called economies of scale. Basically, getting bigger to become more efficient and save money. Another big reason, breaking into new places. Sometimes, buying a local company is the fastest way to expand into a new country. And finally, and this is a big one in tech, it's about buying innovation. You just acquire a smaller, clever company to get your hands on their game-changing tech. But, and this is a huge but, where there are high rewards, there are always high stakes. This is not a game for the faint of heart. A ton can go wrong. And you know what's interesting? The biggest landmines aren't always about the money. You can have these massive culture clashes when you try to force two completely different teams to work together. Then there's the risk of just overpaying, getting caught up in the hype and writing too big of a check. But maybe the single biggest killer of these deals is what happens after the papers are signed. Trying to mash together two different technologies, two different ways of doing things, it's incredibly tough, and it's where a lot of these deals just fall apart. So if it's so incredibly risky, how does anyone pull it off? How do you get it right? Well, that brings us right back to where we started. Let's dig into the blueprint for success by looking again at that Facebook and Instagram deal. Success really seems to boil down to nailing three key things. First, you've got to do your homework. That's called due diligence. It's where you investigate every little detail to make sure there are no hidden surprises. Second, communication has to be crystal clear from start to finish. And third, and this might be the most crucial of all, the two companies have to be strategically aligned. They have to just fit. And that is exactly why the Facebook-Instagram story is such a perfect case study. It wasn't just some random billion-dollar shopping spree. It was a masterclass in hitting all three of those points, especially that last one, strategic alignment. Think about it. The deal was genius from a strategic standpoint. For Facebook, it instantly cemented their dominance in social media. It gave them a huge position in the up-and-coming world of mobile photo sharing. And, maybe most importantly, it brought in a whole new, younger audience that was flocking to Instagram. It was just the perfect puzzle piece to fit into Facebook's bigger picture. And the result of all that? Well, it's really no exaggeration to call it one of the most successful acquisitions in the history of tech. I mean, it didn't just take a major competitor off the board, it became an engine for Facebook's growth for the next 10 years. Absolutely game-changing. So, what's the big takeaway here? A truly great acquisition isn't just about the money. It's about a bold strategic vision. It's about seeing the future and making a move. Which kind of leaves us with one final question for you.
Now that you know what to look for, what do you think the next big deal will be? What's the next acquisition that's going to completely reshape our digital world?